The All Progressives Congress has asked the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Gabriel Dawang, to swear in the 16 lawmakers on the party's platform without further delay or face legal consequences. According to the party's National Publicity Secretary, Felix Morka, who spoke at the end of the party's National Working Committee meeting in Abuja, failure to swear in the lawmakers will attract legal sanctions. Well, Mr. Morka joins us now to explain the position of the APC on the Plateau legislative standoff, as well as the party's preparations for off-season elections in Edo and the forthcoming by-elections here in Lagos. Well, good to have you again on Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, according to the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, he's waiting for a judicial interpretation following the judgment of the Supreme Court, of course, in the governor's case, that the appeal court does not have the jurisdiction to determine the validity of a party's primary election. What do you make of his sense of reasoning?
Totally senseless. There's no such legal facility available to the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly. The Court of Appeal is the final court of record for the determination of election petitions arising from the House of Assembly elections. And the court made a ruling, made a decision, which is binding on everyone, all of the litigants in the matter, including the Speaker and every other authority, in the matter. So the idea that the Speaker is withholding inauguration of these members, until such a time when another court makes a review, there's no such facility for further judicial review of the final decision of the Court of Appeal in the matter. Now, and by the way, the Speaker does not have any discretion in this matter. He is called upon by the judgment of that court to carry out his constitutional obligation to inaugurate these members, these 15 APC members, and I think one Labour Party member. His discretion, whether or not he thinks the Court of Appeal was right in that judgment or not, is irrelevant. He just must do the duty that he has, he has to do under the law. That's the position.
Well, what's the way forward? What if he does not follow through as you expect?
No, the duty that the Speaker has to inaugurate these members is a constitutional duty. It's a compellable obligation. And our party will take effective legal measures to compel him to act as he should. Now, this is not even about the party. It's about the courts. In the same Plateau State, the Supreme Court gave judgment in favor of the incumbent governor. We vigorously contested that position. We lost at the Supreme Court and we accepted. So what is so difficult for the Speaker and the governor in Plateau State to accept the decision of the Court of Appeal? You win some, you lose some. You can't win all the time. And, it makes no sense that when you lose, you begin to, call for the dismantling of the court system. When you win, you celebrate. Yes, the same Speaker and the governor celebrated their victory, out of the Supreme Court. Why is it so difficult for them to accept their loss at the Court of Appeal? That's the nature of the legal process. So, yes, our lawyers are working hard to immediately begin contempt proceedings against the Speaker because, he doesn't have a choice in the matter. He will do exactly as the law has said.
Now, while you're seeking justice, from the court on this matter, shouldn't we also be talking about the fact that the judiciary seems to be flip-flopping, on its decision-making? The fact that the appeal court clearly did not respect judicial precedents. Isn't this something we should be talking about? Are you worried, perhaps, that when you take this case to court, you just might have a miscarriage of justice, like we've had in some cases?
No, I'm not worried, and there's no reason for anyone to worry. There's a reason that the Constitution and the law created, levels of court. In our case, 3 levels of court: the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Now, with respect to election petition matters, as it affects the House of Assembly, the Court of Appeal was made a final court. The reason for that is that the law recognizes that judges are human beings, they are trained lawyers, and that when 2 human beings look at any given set of facts, that it is possible that they come to entirely different conclusions. Therefore, the legal system created a higher court to look through and to vet the decision of the lower court. So when two courts come out with divergent opinions, doesn't mean that one of the courts has erred to the degree of compromising their integrity as has been suggested by the opposition. It may just be that is the best of the understanding of the facts and the law that apply. Now, the Supreme Court gave judgment in favor of the governor in Plateau. Now, does it mean that all lawyers in this country agree with that opinion? No. I have my personal opinion, I have my reservations about that decision. But the Supreme Court is the final court, in that matter. They are infallible because they are final, not because they are infallible. Because, if you put that, to debate, there are many lawyers who will disagree with the Supreme Court on so many, issues. The point here is that when we have a judicial system in a democracy, we are obligated to respect that process. We can't cherry pick what we respect and what we don't. The Speaker is not a constituted judicial authority and therefore doesn't have any power to upturn or block the decision of the Court of Appeal, in our country. That's unacceptable.
Well, fair enough. Let's move on to the off-cycle elections, which are seeming to pan out like the Super Bowl of politics right now, particularly in Edo State. Now, we had you a couple weeks back, and we spoke about the huge list of candidates that the APC had running under their governorship ticket, or proposed to have running into the primaries. We also spoke about the rumor of an undertaking that some applicants would have had to sign in order to make sure that they're not going to the courts to muddy the waters after the primaries. Of course, you discounted that claim right here on Newsday. But I'm wondering if it's not something that should have been implemented quite harshly, seeing as it was whittled down from 29 to about 10, now to 6 or 4. I'm conflicting reports, not too sure. But regardless, there are a few players who won't go down without a fight, namely Mr. Dekiri, Mr. Osage Ize Iyamu, and a few others who are just saying they're going to be running regardless. What do you make of this situation, and how do they plan to deal with these candidates in order not to, like I said, muddy up the waters for the rest of the candidates which have been pre-screened by the APC?
Thank you very much. Now, the fact that we had 29 aspirants initially, I think speaks to the confidence that these aspirants have in the party. I mean, 29 people are competing for the office of governor in the state under the banner of our party. That's a thing to celebrate. But it's also, again, on the PDP side, you also, have quite a decent number. And I think the totality of all of the aspirants in all of the parties in Edo State, I think it speaks to the really, abysmal performance of Governor Baseki, to the point that everyone thinks they can do better and, maybe can actually do better. So, having said that, our party has not conducted screening. We have done no screening. If you recall, during that conversation that we had, I did clarify that the forms were still available. I think it closed probably yesterday or, the day before. So right now, I think we have just about 12 who have obtained our forms and who are going to participate in the activities leading up to the primaries. The All Progressives Congress screening will take place as announced in the schedule. Now, what you're referring to as screening, it's not a screening by the party. This was, a committee that the leaders and, other members in the state put together to attempt to, prune the numbers. But, everyone who has purchased forms will have the opportunity to go through the screening by a committee of the National Working Committee. And it is, that screening that will determine those who actually compete in the primary. So, that is upcoming. And I think once that is done, we will have an idea of who and who will be certified to compete in the primary that is coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks from now.
So are you telling us that what the committee has done, that their work should be disregarded? It's not binding. Is that what you're saying?
No, what we're saying is that there's, only one authority that has the power to constitute a screening committee for our party, and that is a committee established by the National Working Committee of the party. As I said, the committee you referred to that was set up by, our eminent leaders and members in Edo State was meant initially to, prune down the numbers. But again, that is not binding on the party or for that matter, on even the aspirants. Those who have elected to purchase forms have done so, and they will go forward to, participate in the screening of the committee, set up by the National Working Committee of our party. And those who are cleared out of that committee will compete. If all 12 are cleared, they will compete. If, whoever goes through that screening and is actually certified to run will run at the primaries that is upcoming. But
Mr. Morka, there are suggestions, that this mini screening, maybe I should call it a mini screening because I'm confused on what to call it actually. There are suggestions that it's just a smoke screen, for some people within your party to impose a candidate, for the primaries. What's your take on it?
Look, with every political activity, there's always a lot of speculation and, innuendos made. I don't think that there was anything untoward about the committee that was set up initially, because it was in fact done with, the buy-in of many of the aspirants and the leaders. So, as a party, we don't interfere with any decision by party members and leaders in at the local level to do whatever they do. If they agree and they, adopt it, that's fine. But, that doesn't take away from the, proper constitutional process, which we are obligated to facilitate, which is the screening, as I've described it, and, other activities that, will come. Now, I don't think that committee, should be, anyone should cast aspersion on that committee. They've done what they've done, but those who, have decided, in exercise of their constitutional liberty to go forward and compete, irrespective of whatever the decision there, they're free to do so, because that committee is not a constitutionally created committee of our party. The screening committee of the National Working Committee is one that will have the constitutional authority to screen aspirants and to vet, them and confirm those who, who pass the process. And by the way, when that is done, there's an appeal process. After the screening, we have an appeal process for those who are dissatisfied with the outcome of the screening to appeal. That's a due process. So we will grant every aspirant, the due process that they deserve, under our Constitution.
Well, Mr. Morka, can you understand our bit of confusion? On one side you read, no, we're not allowing individuals to go to the courts in order to preserve the unities of the APC and the sanctity of the aspirants. On the other hand, it says we are having a screening, but it is not a constitutionally created committee, but it's still a screening. They're able to do what it is that they want, but may or may not be counted at the end of the day. It's a little bit confusing for us who don't play politics on that side of the fence. So just to thank you for clearing that up as much as you can. What else can we expect from these very interesting and intrigue-provoking Edo State upcoming elections?
Well, that's what you get when you compete under the banner of a party like our own, where people are very excited and interested in forging this program. Like I said, we're very comfortable with that. We're very happy with that. There's no confusion at all in this matter. A committee was set up at the state level. That is a voluntary committee that was put in place. They've done what they've done. Those who have decided that they want to go forward are free to go forward. So there's no conflict of any kind. at all. So, we expect that, those who have purchased form, out of 29, we now have 12 people, aspirants who we cannot confirm are, in fact, aspirants in the matter because they purchased form, they've met all of the requirements. They will now go forward to the next stage to be screened, after which they will then participate in the primary election. It's as clear as that. So there's really no confusion. And I think that in the coming days, it will get, we begin to then see the activities, the screening, and the other steps that we have lined up ahead of the primaries.
APC National Publicity Secretary Felix Morka, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.